Here with Jacob with ePool Supply and poolandfloor.com. Today we're going to go over some caretaker heads and nozzles to figure out which nozzles you actually need for your caretaker heads in your swimming pool. So let's go ahead and get started with the mini nozzle. Let's see if I can pull up the picture here real quick. Okay, so now that I have picture pulled up, the one furthest on the left is going to be your mini nozzle. As you can see, this mini nozzle, it's really tiny. It doesn't allow a whole lot of water flow at all to pass through it. This is really good for top steps that splash a little too much, like a beach entry, to where water is just spraying out on top of your deck. You put one of these in there and it's going to slow the water flow down but still have all the heads pop up and provide really good back pressure. So also if you have a system where a couple zones are they're struggling with back pressure to get all the pop-up heads up, put in a mini nozzle in one of the sections that's actually closer to another head, and it should give you good enough back pressure to lift those heads up. So now let's go ahead and go to the step and bench nozzle. That's got a 4.5 foot radius. So pretty much, obviously some of us know the radius. You put the head in there, and it's got a 4 foot around, 4.5 feet around, and that's what it's gonna clean. And what it does, it allows 7 gallons per minute, and it's real straightforward. It goes in your steps, goes on your benches, and the way Caretaker draws it is that steps and benches usually get more heads per cycle or per station than the rest of your head stations in the pool. So on 5 ports, there's 5 ports, so you'll have like a deep end, deep end, deep end, deep end on all your steps and benches. Sometimes go on all your steps and benches will pop up at the same time. And what that is usually Caretaker allows 4 to 5 per zone on a regular station, but sometimes steps and benches can get up to 8 heads per zone. So they kind of have to make a smaller nozzle to lift up all the heads at one time. The next size up in the middle is the flow adjust. That's going to be part number 19455. It's got a 5 foot radius with 12 gallons per minute. So pretty much this is a pretty middle of the road nozzle. In my personal opinion, in my personal experience, I haven't really seen a whole lot of them installed. The two that are most common are standard and bench and step. But now that there's more technologies out there, I see Caretaker using all 5 nozzles to maximize flow with variable speed technology and such. The standard nozzle is 19461. It's got a 5.5 foot radius at 16 gallons per minute. This is commonly most used in the past. This is the most used nozzle for all the in-floor heads, because what it does is 16 gallons per minute. The average you're going to get is about 4 to 5 heads per step. So let's calculate 4 times 16 gallons per minute. That's 64 gallons per minute, which is pretty perfect on an 1.5-inch Caretaker valve. To get 60 to 75 gallons per minute on a full horse rated pump or whatever, however they designed your pool, but that's pretty standard. So they're going to give you 4 to 5 heads per zone with a standard nozzle. It's kind of the way that they always calculated them. So pretty much the next one down is the Flow Plus. That's going to allow a 6.5 foot radius at 25 gallons per minute. This is a lot of water passing through these things. It's good for spas, good for fountains, good for low head applications with a 5-port valve, or if there's, I don't know, we see them more on Ultraflex valves now, because Ultraflex allows a lot of water to pass through there. It's no longer like the old piston assemblies that have like an 1.5-inch port. Sometimes newer Ultraflexes are planned out to be 2.5-inch plumbing, so it can allow a ton of water to pass through there at one time to get you a really, really clean pool. Again, Ultraflex valves, I don't understand why more commercial applications have them, just because it would keep the commercial pools spotless, but I think it's a really, really good idea. The high flows are also good on the newer style heads, or the Flow Plus is good on the newer style heads, but that leads me to the next one. The high flow are factory installed nozzles to Enviropool high flow in-floor heads. They actually have a special part number for these type of heads. It starts with 4-9-, and what they are is just a regular Caretaker head, and the factory just takes the nozzle, installs it, and that's it. So in my personal opinion, the amount of flow, let's go over that real quick. The amount of flow that these things take are 30 gallons per minute. It's quite a bit of water. They're great for spas. They're great for any type of small, I guess like 1 or 2 heads per station type of an application, to where You just want a lot of water to pass through with no back pressure, and it's just a small body water getting cleaned. They work for obviously vinyl liner pools because they're designed for the Enviropool. But again, factory part number is 19457. Doesn't really mean a whole lot because these things are factory installed into the system and cannot be replaced without replacing the head. So what I would recommend, get the Caretaker head, don't get a nozzle. Don't get the high flow nozzle, because as you can see on the inside of here, there's looks like a nozzle's already installed. So I mean, it's just this is the Flow Plus, but the nozzle that's looks like the perfect circle inside there will shoot out a good amount of head. So the high flow nozzles are a 5/8 inch by 3/4 inch, and this is just a perfect circle of 3/4, and it really works just as good. So in my personal opinion, get the 3-9 part number over the 4-9 part number, and you have a high flow system. So these new Caretaker heads though, by the way, so what they're doing is they put a weaker spring in there to allow variable speed pumps to slowly push up these heads. I guess with less water, the heads are going to pop up, rather than the older style had a stronger spring. So if a little bit of water passed through, they would only go up about that much, and which, to be honest with you, I mean, it's like ½ an inch above your finished pebble or plaster. So now it's a low water flow. These weak springs allow these heads to pop up all the way and get the surface cleaned on a lower gallon per minute system, which is really cool. They're kind of keeping up with the times, because I think a lot of the other in-floor companies have done the same thing with variable speed technology out there to try to maximize your energy savings. But what you're going to look for on these newer style heads is the logo Caretaker in big block lettering. That's our new logo. They got rid of the Polaris, they got rid of the 99, they got rid of the Jandy logo, they got rid of all these logos that they went through in the past 10 years on these heads. And the newer style heads have that Caretaker logo, which means it has the weaker spring, which means it allows variable speed technology. Pretty cool, really cool. But yeah, so thank you for watching. I'm gonna throw up a new picture here, by the way, so it kind of describes everything I talked about: the diameters, the flow, the radiuses, the part numbers, the whole 9 yards. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for subscribing too as well. We really appreciate it. If there's any videos that you'd like us to post, go ahead and message us, and we will get a new video on there for you. Thank you for watching ePool Supply.